My name is Joanne Norman. Most people here at G42 know me as Jo, and you also know that I am the head of compliance at G42.
Could you tell us about your upcoming challenge?
I am currently embarking on the Ocean 7 Challenge. I recently completed the World Triple Crown, which consists of the English Channel, Catalina, and circum-navigation of Manhattan.
Could you take us back to the beginning? How did it all start? And what was the pivotal moment for you?
So this really all started when I started to think about the celebration of a significant milestone birthday. And I wanted to do something that was going to push me outside of my boundaries a bit. I contemplated a number of activities, all involving sport. It really wasn't until we were on a family trip and we were on our way back from Calais to Dover on a ferry that I looked out the window and I was just contemplating and looking at the water. I thought, you know what? I could actually swim the channel. A little bit of time after that, we were at a hotel in Dover. The hotel is famous for having all of the people who have swum the channel, whether it's by solo, duo, in relays. The walls are painted with everybody's names, numbers, their dates, their time, where they're from. And we just so happened to be sitting at a table next to the wall, and on the wall were 4 names of guys that I used to play water polo with back in Perth. And my husband just looked at me and he just shook his head, and I went, yep, I'm going to do the channel. So that's really how it all started.
What was the one moment that tested you the most?
I'm really lucky. I think I've got some sort of guardian angel. I haven't had any encounters in the water, and I'm not naive to think that, there's not wildlife where I'm swimming. That there is, but I've had no encounters, which, touch wood. I think the biggest challenge was Catalina, which was, I swam in September. Catalina was a full night swim, and so we were in the water at 10:30 at night. While I'd done a few night swims, those swims were at my training camp. They were for an hour or 2 hours, not really of the magnitude where I had to swim all night with a couple of glow sticks on. The boats just got red light and I could barely see that anyway, and then the kayaker had red-green lights on. I did have to get my head around that leading up to the swim. I knew that physically I'd be fine. My nutrition is the same, so that was really going to be the biggest hurdle for me, and it took a little bit of time to process how I was going to approach that swim. And I generally don't talk a lot about my fears. Failure's kind of not really in my vocabulary, and I definitely was never going to fail. I did have to have a sit down with my girlfriends who are my support crew, and I just had to have a little bit of a talk about swimming at night and, kind of how that felt to me. And then once I kind of said it, I kind of got that, put it out there, I guess. And then on the night of the swim, I got in the water and I actually didn't even really think about it. I didn't think about what was in the water. I didn't think about night swimming. I just got on with the job. So while it occupied a lot of my time pre-swim, I actually learned it wasn't really that bad. Actually, it was actually quite enjoyable because it was very quiet.
What was the brightest moment that you had?
So a full night swim, I was counting down sunrise from about 3 a.m. in the morning. And because I had kayakers for this swim and they changed over every 3 hours, I generally in a swim, I try not to count feeds, or I try not to count the hours or anticipate. I don't ask my coach where I am in the swim, how long I've got to go, how long we've been swimming. I don't want to know any of that information. My day is just to get in and swim and get to the end. Catalina was a little bit more because I could count, because I knew each time they changed that it was another 3-hour rotation. And I remember saying to, it was a father and son who I had kayaking with me, and I remember saying to Alessandro, so when is sunrise? And he said, well, we're about 3 hours to go. I was like, oh, still got 3 hours. But as the sun came up, I heard the dolphins, and I knew this swim, I was hoping that I would be accompanied by some dolphins. And so we had a series of pods of dolphins go through, and they accompanied me for a fair while. And I actually asked Alessandro to stop because I really wanted to sort of, just embrace that moment. Sorry, I get all emotional. Sorry. That's all right, I got the tissues. It's not every day that, you hear the dolphins in the water and, they're swimming with you. That's a memory that will stay with me definitely forever.
Before the swim, what are the emotions and motivations that drive you?
So, knowing that there is only a small number of people who have completed each of these swims, that in itself is something to be celebrated. And the day of my swim, I look at that day as my day of celebration. I celebrate what I'm about to put my body through and celebrate that my body can do this. And I celebrate all of the hard work that I've done up to that. So it's a slight change in my mindset. As a competitor, and when I'm racing, it's a very different mindset because you're there to compete and you want to win. And you want to do, you want to get to the end, get on a podium and put a medal on. These are about completion. And so I celebrate the fact that I've done all of the hard work. I've got everything that I can control. I know that I've built on that. And that's all in the box. So my day of my swim day, I celebrate it. So I have a lightness to when I get off the boat, because generally the boat won't be on shore. You jump off the boat and you swim into shore, and then they'll blow a horn to say they're ready to, you're ready to start. And I have a massive smile on my face, and I just get in there, and I have a really happy attitude to the day of my swim, and I get to the end, and it's the biggest smile ever.
How did it feel to have G42 backing you? And what does it mean to have your workplace supporting your personal endeavors?
Working at G42 and, with the level of training that I do, I'm grateful that there's a work-life balance. There is the flexibility in terms of start times and finish times, and I know that, I can finish things at work, and I get the opportunity to, to work remotely if that's what I need to as well. The way that the company has structured work life is beneficial for me, and a bit like the company, the journey that we're on as a company, and expanding exponential possibilities. I kind of feel like I'm doing the same thing, except I'm exploring my exponential possibilities, because I think that a lot of us and within ourselves that we just haven't explored, because you have to be prepared to be uncomfortable. That's what I do when I do these swims. Is I have to spend a lot of time in my own head, so I have to like myself. I am prepared to be uncomfortable and to endure that for a long time. And that's kind of has a lot of sort of similarities to what the company is doing, how we grow our business strategy. We're very similar in our mindset, I guess.
To wrap up, could you share your future race plans and how they fit into your overall journey?
So I head off shortly to New Zealand. So my tide for New Zealand opens on the 3rd of February. Depending on how conditions look at that time, we will go somewhere between 3 and 7 of Feb. I have already signed up for Molokai, which my tide opens on the 10th of June. And then I'll follow that up very closely with the North Channel, and that is at the end of September. So not a lot of recovery from a super big swim. Molokai is probably will be my toughest, and then I've got a 9-week period to recover and then sort of embark on a 33-kilometre swim. That in itself is, that's a super big challenge outside of, completing the 2 swims. But I'm actually really excited about this year and the commitment that I've made to myself to get these 3 done. I have a slot on the 17th of July 2025 to swim Tsugaru. So that will close off the 7.
As we conclude, what powerful message would you like to share with viewers about unlocking their full potential?
I started this journey, it was a personal journey. It was to celebrate sort of, 50 years of life. There's a lot of how I've kind of put my journey together that other people can learn from. If anything comes out of this, I'd like to think that I've inspired other people to set themselves a goal. And it doesn't have to be in marathon swimming. It doesn't have to be something that is, on a crazy level. I was actually really touched that a friend of mine, he has decided to take up a 100k ultra trail running challenge 2 weeks after I complete my New Zealand swim. He was inspired by what I've done. I've inspired one person, and I think that that's great. There's always something to learn from yourself personally, and there's always something that you can teach.